Splitfiction will definitely be in the running for Game of the Year awards at the end of 2025.
Yeah, you heard that right. This slop right here that you're seeing on the screen is Game of the Year according to the shills.
The director of the game, of Splitfiction, has even come out decrying microtransactions, talking about how designing around them really hampers creativity in gaming.
We truly have fallen so far that not having microtransactions in your game is all that you need for a game to be good nowadays. Imagine having your standards lowered so far that a game without, microtransactions with literal mobile tier gameplay and literal Reddit humor in it is now your Game of the Year.
Just dropped yesterday, and it looks to be a pretty big success thus far. The game is sitting at just under 200,000 players early.
I also really love the argument that a game is good or not woke because of player count. Wow, 250,000 players most certainly is a good game that isn't woke or has DEI characters at all, like our fellow brother of color, the Soyance god himself, Tyrone. But let's also be real, bringing up the player count is a bit disingenuous because you have to cut it in half, because literally half the people playing have the friends pass where they can play with somebody who has bought the game. Let's also be real. On all the retards praising the system about, wow, you don't need to have a second person buy the game. Wow, EA is so consumer friendly. Oh my god. Do you really think they don't factor this in prior? Like, you really think this game is worth $50? Or is it, maybe it's worth $25, but you're basically buying 2 copies.
Splitfiction, the latest co-op adventure from Joseph Fares, has launched to some seriously incredible numbers, peaking at nearly 200,000 concurrent players on Steam. And at the end of the day, this game is going to solidify Joseph Fares as a force to be reckoned with in the gaming industry.
Then we also have shills like smashjt trying to hype this game up and its director up like he's the second coming. I know this is just a little side tangent, but am I the only one who thinks this motherfucker looks like a sleazy and shady used car salesman?
Just fucking real talk. Real talk.
Just like how I personally wouldn't let this guy sell me a used car, I also wouldn't allow him to sell me bullshit news stories that he shits out on a daily basis, where he doesn't even check to see if they are real or not because he only cares about that sweet, juicy YouTube ad revenue. But yeah, we should all hype up and prop up another game director or game dev because we all didn't experience firsthand how that turned out last time with Daniel Vavra. But nah, Joseph Fares, who has only created a bunch of co-op games, is a true savior of gaming and is saving the gaming industry one game at a time with middleware slop co-op games.
Real talk.
That you'd play with your wife's boyfriend Tyrone a single time while your wife is getting ready upstairs to put on lingerie and getting ready for Tyrone's beautiful personality and shit.
Wow, I am black and I'm good at basketball. Look at the stylish layup, yeah.
But yeah, obviously I just had to play this masterpiece of a game for myself. Like, I just had to see what all the fuss was about. Was this truly Game of the Year material? Is Splitfiction really the second coming? So I played this wonderful and amazing game featuring 2 stunning and brave body type 2s on my stream. And it's obviously not woke because these 2 women here are based off of the director's daughters.
Now there are 2 girls and everybody's complaining. Come on, man. I mean, let's face it, man. And it's also like based on my daughters. I don't care what you have between your legs. That's totally not interesting for me. Good characters is what's important.
C-A-P.
Which personally, I don't think you really need a scientist to do like some DNA test to tell you that these 2 lovely creatures here don't look the same, considering one is brown, which not gonna lie, she ain't bad though. If she Latina, I can let this one slide. And the other is white. Maybe he has multiple baby mamas, who knows? But you do really gotta love this sentiment that a game can't be woke because it is based on or off of your daughters. Like, really, what the fuck does that even mean or prove? I guess if Dustborn, if like the characters were based off of the developer's children, it now just, wouldn't be classified as a woke game, right?
Sort of story or narrative that this game is woke and that everyone's against this game because it's 2 females in the game, and because of that, the game's super woke, when in reality, all the research that I've done and found on this studio, Hazelight Studios, has none of that at all.
You really gotta love these grifting anti-woke channels with literally no backbone or morals. But if we're going to be honest, is this game as woke as other games like We Was Kang Shadows, where you literally play as Yasuke, a 6-foot tall black man where you get to smash in the heads of the native Japanese people with a literal Ooga Booga club, or South of Midnight where you also play as a race-swapped black queen. No, obviously not. That doesn't mean the character designs aren't DI. Holy fuck, look how ugly that woman is. But you know, the game isn't woke though. Remember, the game isn't woke. Or that Joseph isn't hiding behind his children as a shield for criticism. Like, can you really blame anybody at this point when nearly every game with a female protagonist in current year is always just there for DI purposes and the women are always girl bosses? I do want to showcase a comment I also did see on Dr. Disaster's channel relating on this though. Lord Viper says, bro, people are sick of girl bosses. I don't want to hear that most are okay with it, so I'm an asshole. You sound like them. If you're okay with girl boss games, you do you, but don't put labels on me because I'm sick to death of it. Which, yeah, is true. I'm not spotting anything wrong with what he said, but apparently our woke activist, centrist, grifting XY chromosome, who is probably may or may not be attracted to other XY chromosome persons, here would disagree, saying, explains what makes them a girl boss. I want to know what your limiting principles are. If you don't want to play it, that's fine, but just know that the majority of people don't see a problem with them. If you can't accept that, I don't know what to tell you, which is probably the most brain dead response I've seen in a very long time, because it obviously doesn't matter what the vast majority of people think. It's like this retard really thinks what determines if something is woke or not is if an arbitrary percentage of people all collectively agree that a game isn't woke. Like, this right here is really leftist logic.
Oh, fuck on, dude, real talk.
But you know, it also doesn't really surprise me either, considering this clown didn't make a single video on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's woke bullshit like Musa. Oh wait, he did make one video, the one where everybody clowned on IGN for their first upload on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 being on how to romance hands. It seems as if this clown only waits for the popular opinion on something to see if a game is woke or not, and he actually has no genuine thoughts or opinions. It's almost as if, dare I say it, he's a grifter and doesn't actually care or believe in anything he talks about? Shocking, I know. Who saw this coming? Certainly not me. He also stretches every single video out to the 8-minute and 10-minute mark with a shitty copy-paste intro in every single video that is nearly a minute long, and another 20-second copy-pasted outro. Just felt like I had to add that. I also feel like I should add that you should join the Latina kingdom by hitting that subscribe button and like button, as I, your Latina queen, will never let you down. Ever. Alright, moving on from the bullshit, I also find it funny the comment he pins is the one talking about microtransactions being bad, and clearly and obviously that is the only thing affecting modern gaming is the microtransactions. It's not the DI higher devs, the forced propaganda, the terrible UI, the awful stories, or even the copy-pasted gameplay, where you need to climb up a big tower in an open world to expand the map. None of that, it's just the microtransactions, which yes, they are obviously a problem, but even if most of these modern slop games had no microtransactions at all, it wouldn't make them any better. But yeah, most of his video is just him glazing Splitfiction despite him not even playing it.
And considering how much fun the game looks to be,
Which seems to be a reoccurring theme with these grifting anti-woke channels.
Personally, I'm looking forward to getting to this game eventually.
This is the sort of company who would love to charge a microtransaction fee on using the freaking toilets at their studios if they could get by with it.
And he has the typical Reddit jokes and takes that microtransactions are bad. Like, haha, bro, oh my god, bro, EA's like the, you know, the type of, they're like literally the type of company to charge, you know, a microtransaction fee for using the toilet. Haha, oh my god, bro, isn't that so funny, dude? Laugh and upvote me so I can get my karma up. But yeah, that's why we aren't watching this entire video and only checking out parts, because he basically just rambles into the microphone until he sees on OBS that he's at the 8-minute mark, then he wraps the shit up.
They want us to be seen as hating female characters for no reason other than them existing.
That seems kind of based if you ask me. Obviously I'm joking though, obviously. And this whole video is also just a big haha joke, because we should obviously weed out all the men in media and games and movies and all of that shit for the empowering and stunning and brave body type 2s.
I have no problem with these two characters, in the same way that I had no problem with Eve and Stellar Blade.
Let's keep it a $1.98, okay? There's a huge difference between Eve from Stellar Blade or a Bayonetta or a Tifa Lockhart compared to modern women. Like sure, the brown girl isn't bad by any means, but this is just a stupid comparison. Eve was obviously made for the male gaze, while these two women here are clearly and obviously not.
And as we can see from the Steam numbers on this game, most most people don't care, this is now the #1 bestseller on Steam, which is impressive considering that it dethroned Monster Hunter Wilds, which is only about a week old. Gamers...
Yeah, this is quite disingenuous. Like, sure, maybe for one day it sold more copies than Monster Hunter Wilds for that one specific day after everybody already bought their copy of Monster Hunter Wilds, but we are comparing Splitfiction with a player count of 250,000 to a game with literally more than 1 million players than Splitfiction, had at almost 1.4 million concurrent players and a 1 million 24-hour peak. So yeah, I don't think Splitfiction is dethroning Baljeet Hunter anytime soon, unfortunately. Then finally, we have another grifting shill, Hypnotic, bringing the circle jerk to a close.
Hypnotic on X said, major success to the It Takes Two developers Hazelight Studios. Splitfiction hit a peak of 197,434 on Steam at the time of this post. Amazing numbers for a game of this scale.
Because again, obviously high player count means game good. Low player count means game bad and woke. Fucking shills. So yeah, I really don't think we should be taking this game as a win for the gaming industry, especially when online such as Reddit and Reddit 2.0, aka the Steam forum boards, we have literal troons, furries, and the ABC community also hyping this game up as a game that is basically destroying the patriarchy and shit. With a trans furry saying, I don't know how late you are, but the whole anti-woke thing has always been an attack on LGBT, women, and the racial minority groups. It's never been a valid critique. It's just been a means of being openly bigoted towards groups they do not like.
It's just real negativity, everything, just negative.
Wow, it's almost as if you aren't displaying that same energy towards these groups that you don't like. But sadly and unfortunately, high IQ isn't a requirement in joining the ABC ranks these days. We also got, I don't want to be a lesbian in a video game is some cowardly mentality, lol.
Why am I poisoned? Why am I toxic? What?
And I'm just so tired of bigots telling me that I shouldn't be represented in games. It's so tiring.
Shut your bitch ass the fuck up!
So yeah, if you guys want to listen to all these fake anti-woke grifting retards and own this game as a win, then go ahead, I guess. You probably do ride the short bus though, but yeah, that's cool and whatever. I don't really discriminate and shit. If you ride that short bus, then cool for you. You can either listen to the fakes and frauds, or you can listen to the one true, based, and most pure Latina queen. Who are you gonna believe, the beautiful Latina or the shady used car salesman and his squad of hobos who like to grift and prop up dog shit games? But yeah, I'll give a small little review of this game that I only played for 1 hour and 55 minutes so I could refund it. So anyways, the game opens up with a scene outside of a Soyance building where basically you, the brown whammon, and the ginger whammon get an invite to do some journaling since you're both writers or some bullshit like that. So these Soyance bros have created these like space bubbles that are like this new form of storytelling where I think it like reads your mind and it details everything, but our queen here gets second thoughts and doesn't want to be in a bubble, so she gets in a confrontation with the scientist and basically falls into the bubble with the ginger wham, and we meet in the elevator. And obviously for anybody saying they weren't lesbians, what do you call this shit?
I'm gay, we're totally gay.
So you're then basically put into virtual reality and you start playing the game, which this review section is going to be quite short since there's really not a whole lot to say. Not to mention I didn't really play a whole lot of it obviously, so it's more so just my very brief thoughts and opinions on this masterpiece of a game that will win Game of the Year unironically because the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley are absolute hacks and they love to make slop win. The gameplay mostly consists of just holding the W key and doing light platforming like jumping, or doing scripted platforming like an Assassin's Creed game where it just auto locks onto wherever you're jumping to. It's extremely basic, but I guess it gets the job done. And this game is obviously targeting extreme casuals, so it makes sense there is next to no depth in the actual gameplay of the game. It's also full of mobile game style segments or mini games where you could literally just play the shit on a phone by swiping your finger left and right. Basically think Temple Run or Subway Surfers. So if you have ever wanted to spend $50 on Subway Surfers, then this is probably the game for you. Like, the gameplay isn't the worst worst I've ever seen by any means, or anything like that. It's just very mid. They at least switch up the gameplay every like 5 minutes or so it tries to keep things fresh, even though you'll probably be repeating the same style of gameplay multiple times, like running segments. And also, since this is a co-op game, you need another person to play with. Depending on the character you choose at the beginning of the game, you'll get differences in gameplay mechanics, which is pretty cool, and at least add some variety to play the game a second time. You get the brown whammon with the katana and gravitational powers, and the ultra giga based whip cracker ginger whammon with the whip to whip all of the beautiful people who step out of line, you know, back into place. She also can use her whip to throw shit, and you'll need to use teamwork and the power of friendship to make it through these levels by aiding the other players with your ability and vice versa. Some of the bosses are kind of cool, like this one where you go on top of it, and it kind of reminds me of Super Mario Galaxy when you're on the mini planets. The game is also filled to the brim with Reddit and Marvel dialogue and humor, like when you play as Snort Burnell himself and you
awful, terrible, horrible thing to say. Only immature, really fucked up people would do that. Negative, 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 negative.
And you use rainbow farts to boost yourself throughout the air, and you'll meet super funny pigs like a baby pig scratching its ass on the ground like dogs do, or being a literal hot dog and needing to cover yourself in ketchup and mustard to be Aiden. Somebody in my chat said clearly someone on the dev team has a fetish, and yeah, you know, I kind of agree. Art style wise, the game looks fine, although it does use the LGBT trans colors and shit. Lots of uses of light blue and pink. It's very cartoony, looks a little bit like Fortnite. The evil boss is also a hag, so there's that too. But yeah, overall, do I recommend this game? Hell no. Maybe on a deep sell, maybe, but for $50 when it's like a 10-hour long game, that's a hard pass. The game is also 90 gigabytes for whatever fucking reason, which is absolutely fucking insane. But yeah, like if this game was $40 or even $30, then maybe, but even then it's way overpriced in my opinion. For anybody trying to hype this game up as like game of the year material, or like one of the best games of this fucking decade, you're absolutely delusional. You'll probably have fun like if you play with somebody else in co-op, but that's also not really saying much because any game can be fun in co-op when you're playing with someone else. But yeah, obviously don't buy the game and don't fall into the hype of this, you know, mediocre slop.